So now let's talk about some of the other kind of common workloads and common pathways. So from here, if we think about the different workloads or applications or what's running on our virtual machines or physical servers, it could be physical, virtual. I'm just going to keep referencing that virtual machines because it's kind of in my head all the time. Anyway, there's different places where they can go. Now we talk about new deployments because sometimes, like local Active Directory is a great example where if you want to put a domain controller and we want to put it into Azure and we want it to be a part of our overall networking strategy because we're not really ready to move them off, but we want to have one up there for various reasons. You don't really want to migrate an existing domain control. Local Active Directory is a multi-master, so you always want to do a fresh deployment. Could we replace it with Azure ADDS? The bigger question. Azure Active Directory Domain Services, I'll talk a little bit about that later on. Things like a file server, like should you do new deployment? And here I say maybe. Again, this goes to your applications and the services. Could you migrate it? Set up a new server, do it. Yes. Could you migrate it? Yes, you could migrate it, but large file stores, that's where you're going to go do. Normally has attachments to its disks and disk performance. So the best way there is, either move it to, replace it with SharePoint, Teams. If that's not there, then maybe that's the right thing to do a new deployment, configure it, and then replicate it over. Lots of different ways to do that. I'm not going to cover all of these pieces, but this just gives you kind of a guiding light of areas that, when we think about migrate, and this goes for email, files, workloads, it's really copying it. There's different strategies which we'll talk about on how you can actually migrate it. But there's other times when a new deployment will work. Sometimes, let's say a commercial off-the-shelf application won't migrate very well. It might be because of the way they do their licensing costs. Every time you do a new OS, they're going to charge you a bit, and I'd say haggle with them a little bit. But that's kind of frequent that happens. Things like Windows Print servers. Yes, you could put it up there. It's gonna be very busy in terms of its communication. Maybe you're just doing that in the short time frame. But that I'd probably replace with something Microsoft Universal Print. Which, by the way, if you're a GCC High customer in the government area, that there's gonna be some new updates and releases that's gonna be happening and some new innovations gonna be happening there in the next month or so.